Hey everyone, welcome back to Bit by Knit with me, Jenny. I'm here with you today in beautiful British Columbia on the west coast of Canada. Thanks for being here with me today. We're going to start the episode off today by talking about the title of the episode. I'm sure that you all know now that my June top that I was working on last episode was not successful, and it is 100, 1,000, 1 gazillion my fault, percent my fault. Um, so I'm gonna put some pictures up because I did take some pictures of me wearing it. It's not completely finished, but I'm not going to keep it. I am gonna frog it without finishing it. I didn't bother doing like the I-cord edging. I think it called for I-cord edging around the neckline and like around the arms. And like I'm not gonna put that effort in for something I'm not gonna keep. So I did take pictures of it, of me wearing it unfinished, but finished enough to know that it's not going to work for me. So without further ado, I suppose, this is my June top flop. It's being held together by like bread kitchen clips because I didn't sew the tops of my shirt together, and it's actually even too long anyways. I tried to get it adjusted to at least cover my chest because I knit these too long. Even though I went by measurement from the pattern, they stretched maybe or something. I did block it, so maybe they stretched a bit. So anyways, it was coming down far too low, and so I did clip it just so I could get it to the right height and see if I liked it at that height, and the answer is still no, because I did the number one sin, perhaps, of knitting, and I did not make a gauge swatch. And that is, I'm well aware of the risks of doing no gauge swatch, but my whole purpose of doing this June top was because I had some leftover yarn that I wanted to use up, and I knew it wasn't going to be enough for like a full sweater or even a t-shirt, and I figured a tank top would be perfect. And I liked the look of the pattern, and I liked the it looked like it would have been enough yarn for the pattern. I will talk about that a bit here because it was not. And I figured, because before in the past when I've knit sweaters and it's not been the right sized yarn to what the pattern says, I can usually get away with just knitting a smaller size and it works out. So I thought I could do that with the June top. So the June top is a pattern by Petite Knit. It's a tank top, and it is a pattern that calls for DK weight yarn, pretty sure. And I used worsted weight yarn, which isn't a huge deal, but I'm pretty sure the pattern was like a light DK maybe, and mine was a pretty sturdy worsted weight. And so when I was knitting it, I chose to do the size extra small. I am usually a size small. I chose to do the extra small to make up the difference for the worsted weight based on the DK weight in the pattern. And it was like 3 stitches difference in the gauge swatch, if you will. Not that I swatched, but I just like measured my rows as I went to see how much gauge I was on or off, and it was 3 stitches like wider, or like less stitches in my 10 centimeters than the gauge in the pattern. And then I realized that the amount of stitches that you cast on for an extra small versus the amount of stitches you would cast on for the small are like it's a difference of like 6 stitches, which is not enough to make this a small in size when it's all done. It's like a medium, maybe a large, but like even the depth of the armholes and the width between my shoulders and stuff, it's not working for me. And then it's pretty wide, which is okay for like a wide boxy sweater is totally fine, but I guess just because these hit really far out and the back goes down really far, and if I hike the back up, then it's not nice and even at the bottom. It is like the back is way up high and it looks really weird. So that's not an option either. I have to let the back hang down low. It's meant to. The back is meant to be lower than the front, and so it is, but it's too low for me with this. So all in all, I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to frog it. I did make a graph, not really graph, I guess, but just like all of the issues what I did wrong that made this not work. So like I said, so the gauge, like the written gauge is 20 stitches in the 10 centimeters, and mine was 17, so I was off by 3. The needles that Petite Knit calls for are 4 millimeters, and I used a 4.5 millimeter, I'm pretty sure, because it was a worsted weight yarn and I didn't want tight stitches. So that is probably why I got the three stitch difference in the gauge, one of the reasons. And also another big thing that I did, and I didn't realize it, when I was reading the pattern, like the notes, what you need, all your materials and stuff for the pattern, I was looking at the number of yarn that was required, and I saw the number, I think I saw the number 150. I'm like, oh, perfect, 150, and I automatically assumed that meant meters. And so it's like, I have 100, no, I think the skein I had was over that because it was 100 grams and it was some other amount of meterage. Well, no, it was actually grams at the number I saw was talking about, not meters, and I think the actual meterage I needed was 750 meters, which is a lot more than what I had. I doubt even 400 meters in that one skein, probably because it was it's a worsted weight skein, so I think it had less than that. Yeah, I don't even remember, but it wasn't enough. And so that was like the reason I was doing the striping, and it actually worked out fine because the striping makes up the difference. I had enough other yarn to make the striping work. It looks a bit funky, if you will, because of the different colors and striping, which is okay for around the house. I wouldn't mind wearing this kind of a striping look around the house. I don't know if I'd wear it out, but it's kind of cute color-wise. So that was another big problem. I misread the amount of yarn I was going to need. I'm used to seeing, I must be used to seeing like the yardage and the meterage first and then maybe the grams later, and Petite Knit put hers first for the grams and then the meterage later, and my brain just didn't compute. And so anyways, all in all, that all created a needing to be frogged garment. But that's okay. Like I said, it's all yarn that I had in stash. It was all like leftover yarn from other projects, or I even used my hand dyed yarn just to use it up because I really don't know what else I'm going to use it for. So what I'm going to do, my plan is, so I'm going to frog this. I'm not going to try and fix it. I'm not going to try and redo it because the size too, I did the extra small and it is the smallest size in the pattern. So I would have to do some math, serious or easy, I don't know, but math anyways, to decide what I would need to do to make this work in this fabric. And I don't want to do that. It's not worth it to me. I do plan on making a June top again, but not with this yarn. So I'll have to buy some yarn for that down the road, but it's not something I'm going to do right away. I still have the pattern. I own it. I can make it when I'm ready to. It's a simple enough knit. I don't dread making it again, at least. So anyways, with this yarn, what I was thinking of doing is making I was thinking of making an emotional support chicken out of this yarn because I don't really know what else to do with random, strands of yarn that I don't have a ton of for each one. So yeah, emotional support chicken I think is in the future for this yarn to make up for a failed, flopped June top. Okay, that is my only, and I kind of wanted to label this as a finished object because it's not going to get any more finished than this. I'm going to frog it, and this is the only finished object I have for this episode. But that's okay. I've been working on a lot of other things that are like big ticket items, I guess, bigger items that make it so that I wasn't able to finish. And I kept casting on things. You know what? I think I had one of these cast on last episode, and then I cast on another thing, and then I cast on another thing, and so here we are, 3 things. And that's not a ton, but they're all garments, so it's taking time. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk with you guys about, is my Salmon Set 24 top by Elspeth Judith. And this is the one that you guys saw last episode because I had been working on it last episode. I had started it and I hadn't even split for sleeves at that point. I had just a little bit of I only had like a little bit of the top part done. I didn't have enough to really show it off, and I had bunched it up really funny, so it didn't really show up great on camera. But today I'm going to be able to show it a little nicer because I have split for sleeves and I do have it working better in the round. I was able to get it out of Magic Loop and properly in the round now. So this is what my Salmon Set 24 is looking like so far. I have the sleeves on hold on my barber tubing. yeah, and I'm working the body. So for this pattern, it is worked top down, and you do, like, you join it in the round, I think right a ways, but you do have short rows at the back that help to lift it up higher than the front, and then you're doing like your make one rights and your make one less to get the nice raglan kind of look. And then in the pattern, she has, I want to say 6 different suggestions for making a little extra patterning detail to the sweater or to the shirt. You don't have to do it, but it's a suggestion, so I chose one of them. So that's what you see kind of here going down the shirt every so often. And I just finished a 3rd one down here, and I'm just doing stockinette now. And it's like, it's taking me a long time to do because it is with smaller needles. So the pattern recommends like a fingering weight, but in some of the alternative yarns that it suggests, it says you can also use a DK weight cotton blend, which is what I'm using. So I think my yarn choice is a little bit thicker than what the pattern's yarn, what they used in the pattern, which is why I went down a needle size. The recommended needle that they suggest is a 3.5 millimeter, and I'm using a 3.25. So it's pretty small, and so it's taking a very long time to do. But I'm really enjoying it. It's really fun. I like the way it's starting to look. I was a little nervous last episode that this was going to be a bit small, but I think it's going to be okay, and I think it will grow because it is like a cotton linen blend, so I think it will kind of grow. But it looks like, it does look like it's going to cover pretty good. I hope so. I am using the size small in the pattern. Yeah, I'm doing size small. So, and small is usually the correct for me, and I did do a gauge swatch with this, and the gauge swatch was, it was a bit big, which is why I went down the needle size, and then I just kind of measured it as I was knitting it, and it's on gauge, and so I think when I block it, it will just stretch a little bit, and I'm hoping it will be fine. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking. And the yarn I'm using is the Cotlin DK weight yarn from Knit Picks. It is, the colorway is Shoal, and it is 70% cotton and 30% linen blend. And I'm going to bring both of these up closer for you to see kind of the texture in the yarn here. And in order to keep track of my pattern within my pattern, I am using a twice sheared sheep stitch marker row counter, which is what this is. So that's what that's hanging off. Okay, so that is that one. Oh, I should also mention I'm knitting those up on my Chowku needles, interchangeable circular needles. Okay, so my next work in project, I'm pretty sure I say that all the time. I don't know why. Work in progress. Is the Summer Secret Crop by Jessie May Designs, and it's a free pattern that you can get on Ravelry, which is really amazing. So I'm going to talk about the yarn first though before I talk about the pattern, because the yarn I'm using is yarn that I got from Knit Crate a while ago. I had to look through my books to find out which yarn it was, and I'm pretty sure I got the right book. Back in 2020 is when I got this yarn. And I think I caked it up right away, and it just sat in my closet forever caked. And so it is a little bit, I think with linen it will often kind of, you'll see the stranding of it, and I am seeing it, but I saw it more at the start than I am now, and I think it was because it sat in a cake for, what, like 3-4 years now before using it. And so it got a little bit, I don't know, just worn before I started using it. And so I'm finally using it now. I actually think that one of the balls was missing a little bit of the yarn. I must have used it for a project and I don't remember what it was, but one of them I think is lighter than the other. I don't think I have as much left of one of them than the other one, but I think I'll still have enough for the project. But I wanted to just bring out the book for the Knit Crate that I got this yarn in. Even though you can't get Knit Crate anymore, I did want to mention that that's where it's from and talk about the yarn a little bit, and I needed the book to be able to get the information from it. But it was, okay, here we go. Yeah, it's 50% superwash wool and 30% linen and 20% silk. So I thought it was really good to make a summer knit out of, because it's got the linen and the silk. and it was fingering weight, and it was 400 yards per 100 gram skein. So I had 2 skeins of it, so that would have been 800 yards, which is like more than enough than I think I need for the top that I'm making, so it should be totally fine. And I don't really actually know why I didn't use, because like the book came with patterns, and I don't know why I wasn't wanting to knit the pattern. It's actually kind of cute. It's like this little shrug, and I can probably show the picture of it. Little shrug. And they always have like a knit and a crochet pattern. They always had a knit and a crochet pattern. And they had like this other one here as well as an option. And they're like super cute. I think sometimes they also made it so that you could make a bigger item, but you'd have to buy more yarn. So anyways, whatever reason, I didn't bother making the pattern that came with it. So the yarn just sat. I found Jessie May Designs Summer Secret Crop online. Somebody else had made it, and I'm like, oh, that's really cute. Maybe I'll try it. And I think I have enough yarn for it. So let's show the yarn up close. They're in my yarn caddies, my yarn cozies. And I've got a good portion of it done here. It's worked bottom up. It's going to be, so it's a tank top, and it has like just little spaghetti strap sort of strappings around. You can do it like as a halter top, I think, or just like cross it over at the back behind you. There's a couple of different options. You can make it a little bit thicker so it hides the bra strap if you want to wear a bra with it. Yeah. And also with this pattern, so the needles that they recommend, because she does give you 2 options. She says you can make this with the fingering, or you can hold fingering together for DK, or I guess you can just get DK. And so she does have the 2 different needle sizes to use, and it was 4.5 for the fingering and 4 millimeters for the DK. And I am using 5 millimeter needles for mine, because I am holding it together to make a DK weight yarn. And because I didn't want, so like if you see the pattern online, some of the pictures the fabric looks a little bit see-through, and I didn't want a see-through tank, so that's why I decided to hold it together to make it a bit more thick. And I started knitting. I did like the ribbing. I think she asks for a smaller needle size for the ribbing, which I did. And then I started using the 4 millimeter for the first few rows at the bottom, and I was like, that looks really tight and it looks really small. So I did like a quick little gauge swatch on my shirt, and it was too many stitches over the amount that I had, and her gauge swatch is 17 stitches in the 10 centimeters, and mine was more. I can't remember what it was, but it was more. So I just switched to 5 millimeters. I didn't bother ripping out what I had already done. I just kept it in, switched out to 5s, and kept going. So you probably can see that I've got a little line here of like tighter knitting, and then it goes like wider. And I'm okay with that. I think that it might be kind of nice because it is a bottom up top, so maybe it will cinch in a little nicer down at my waist, and maybe it'll like fold a little bit neat and make it almost look like a tucked in tank top. So that's why I wasn't too concerned about that look, and hopefully my instincts will be right on that and it will be fine. And so I also have a couple of stitch markers here on the back, and that is just to show when I need to do an increase, because the other nice thing about this pattern is that she does have options for waist increases as you go, and I'm opting in for the waist increases. So I've got 3 done so far. It's every, I think, 4 centimeters that you have to do a waist increase. So I've done 3 waist increases now, and I think I've got 1 more to go, and then you start splitting for the back and the front and the sleeves and everything. So yeah, so that's as far as I am on that so far. Yeah, it's coming along pretty nice. I'm just in like all my patterns almost pretty much are stockinette. My last work in progress is my step-by-step cardigan by Handmade by Florence. So Handmade by Florence did a video not that long ago, a month or so, maybe 2 months ago, if my memory is correct, about her step-by-step cardigan pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry, and she does have a full video tutorial as well going through the whole pattern. I didn't even know about the pattern until I saw her video about the knitting of the pattern, and I was like, oh, that's a really cute cardigan. I've never made a cardigan before, so maybe that's a great place to start. And so that's what I did. It's actually been something in my mind for a while. Since I saw that video, I'm like, I gotta make that. But I didn't have the yarn for it, and I was like humming and hawing about where to get the yarn, and it's like a worsted weight pattern. And anyways, I was talking to the dyer for Bramble Ridge, and I asked her if she had any worsted weight yarn, because if you go on her website, I don't believe she lists any on her website. So I was talking with her, and she said, well, she doesn't have worsted, but she does have this, oh, it's like a woolen spun, I think she called it, woolen spun DK. And she figured it would be probably thick enough, very close to worsted weight, that it should work for me if I was interested, because she said that she used it for a worsted weight project herself, and it was pretty close to worsted weight, so she offered that as an option. And she had this like beautiful kind of dusty, pinky, it's actually called dusk color, and it's such a lovely color because I wanted a nice neutral, and it's just beautiful. So I decided to go with this yarn, and I really like it. I didn't realize at the time that it is non-superwash, and this is the first time I've worked with a non-superwash wool that wasn't like, I don't think Surrey is superwashed or like mohair is superwash, that kind of thing. But for like wool like this is my first time using a non-superwash, so I'll have to be very careful with washing it and make sure that I only hand wash it, which I do for my knits anyways, but yeah. I did do a gauge swatch for my sweater, which is right here, and I have a little marker down here to tell me the difference of the needles. So what I ended up doing was I did a gauge swatch here of the 4.5 millimeter, because the pattern calls for, no, sorry, the pattern calls for 4.5, oh my goodness, my brain. No, okay. So the pattern calls for 5.5 millimeter needles. So I did this one in 5.5 and this one in 6 millimeter needles. And even the 6 millimeter, like I gauge swatched, I washed it, I blocked it and everything. So like, look at the drape. Oh, anyways, this is still, I was 1 stitch over. I think the stitch count for the gauge is 16 and this is 17 stitches. So I was like humming and hawing about how to go about this, because I didn't want to change the yarn. I love the yarn. So what I decided to do, the first thing I decided to do was, why don't I knit this up in, I think I went to 6.5, yeah, because this was, the top one was 6 and it was still not quite right. So I'm like, why don't I knit on 6.5 millimeter needles and make the size 2. So it's like size 1 is the smallest, and 2 I figured would probably be a size small, which is knowing that I went up. So what, let me backtrack. So the difference between like the 5.5 and the 6 for me was 2 stitches. So this one was measuring 17, this one was measuring 15. And so I thought if I went up to a size 6.5, it would be 15. It would be 15 stitch difference. So the gauge swatch would be 15, which is 1 stitch less than what I needed. So like, okay, 15 stitches, I will go down a size in the sweater to make sure that it's not going to be too over big. So I started knitting it, and I got pretty far. I got to almost all of the increases, but I wasn't split for sleeves or anything yet. And I was looking at it and I was like, it just looks way too gappy. It doesn't look like a nice warm cozy cardigan. It looks maybe more like a summer cardigan. It was kind of gappy. I might be able to see my shirt through it at the back, which is fine, but I really didn't want that. I wanted a nice solid looking cardigan. So I took the hard decision, made the hard decision, and I ripped it all out. And I was like, well, why don't I use the 6 millimeter needles then? And it's gonna be off by 1 stitch, but I'll knit a stitch larger, so the size 3. No, wait, I haven't decided that yet. No, I was like, I'll just knit. No, sorry. Let me go back. I ripped it out, and then I chose to keep it at the 6.5 millimeter needles, but add a mohair in with it to see if that would thicken it up. So I decided to try combining the yarn with the mohair, and I didn't go that far. I did maybe 5 rows before I took a good look at it, and I did not like the way the mohair was looking with this yarn. This yarn is like a very dull kind of yarn. It looks very like muted. I don't know. I just really like the look of it by itself, and the mohair in there was making it look too shiny or sparkly, even though the mohair itself didn't look sparkly on its own. With this kind of a muted yarn fabric. It didn't match. It didn't look good. So I ripped that out, and that was a pain. I actually ended up cutting the mohair from the yarn because it was all twisted around it and I couldn't separate, and I was getting angry, so I just cut the mohair. It was like this little ball of it, and I kept it. I have it, but I hope I don't have to unknot it. And I was able to salvage the yarn from that mess. So then I went down a needle size. I went to the 6mm size. So the top one, I decided I like the look of this, and so I might as well knit to this size. And I started knitting it. I did a few rows, and I was like, I'm probably going to need to go up a size in the pattern. So I ripped it out again. Fourth try, I'm going to a size 3 now. Size 3 with size 6mm needles, and so far I think it's looking good. And here's my progress so far. Let's see if I can get this without making a huge mess. I'm knitting, you'll notice I've got 2 balls of yarn. So because I'm using a hand-dyed yarn, I am doing this as like I'm switching the yarns every second row to make sure that I don't get any striping with the potential difference in color. So yeah, I start like top down. So I've got this much of the, oh, come on, get in my hand. I've got this much so far done. And it's pretty fast. Like after ripping it out several times and restarting it, this is just from yesterday, and I'm already at the second set of increases where you start increasing now for the V part of the neck. And yeah, so hopefully I'll get some more of this done and split for sleeves maybe in the next day or two. And I hope this will knit up nice and quick because it is a nice thick DK yarn. So yeah, that's what I've got going on so far. I'm going to bring the yarn up close for you. And it actually even says on the tag, yes, so woolen spun 100% merino, DK weight, non-superwash in the colorway Dusk from Bramble Ridge. So those are all my works in progress so far. Hopefully I'm going to get one of these done for the next video. We'll see though. Did I have? No, I didn't. Okay, perfect. Did I forget anything? No, I think we're good. Okay, so on to acquisitions. Oh yes, acquisitions. So I think I talked about this, actually I'm pretty sure I talk about this every single episode. I am part of the Twice Sheared Sheep Club. That is a 3-time-a-year seasonal, I guess, box that you get. So I signed up in December as my Christmas present to myself and my husband, and I got the spring box back in the spring, and I just got the summer box last week. Actually, the day that my video went up last week, I got the box. I'm like, dang it. I couldn't show it in that video, but I'll show it in this video, so it's okay. And I will have one more box coming in the fall, and then I did actually end up buying their Advent as well for Christmas because I just wanted something for Christmas too. Anyways, I'm going to show you what I got from Twice Sheared Sheep. So it came in a box, and I opened the box and all the stuff was in the box, but I thought I would show it to you in one of the boxed items, which is this adorable project bag. Little seaside water theme from Twice Sheared Sheep. It's actually a really nice bag. It's got like a beautiful stitching down here. It's got like the leather bottom. It's got the little wrist holder, and it has like the zippers are super good zippers. Like, I don't know, I love a good zipper. And it's got like a little back one here. They're both really good quality zippers with like lining, just a nice white lining in them. And then inside the bag is what all the rest of the stuff that I got from the box first. I'll show you those here quick. It does come with like a little cheat sheet of all the things that you get. So it shows you like 1 through 8, I guess, 7 or 8 items that you get, which is really cool. So you can kind of always keep that to know what you got in your box. So one of the things I got was the Project Journal stationery set. So it is this, but it also is the pens. Yes. So I got this with pens, which I'll open. You get 2 cute sparkly pens here. Pen set. And then just a good way to measure, like especially for gauge swatches, and like you got the ruler, you got the checking your needle sizes and everything. So that's really cool. And the last time and this time I got the stickers, so I think maybe it's a normal thing to throw in some cute little stickers. I got like a girl in a cup and then yarn. Pirate. And I have like, okay, I have a big hat box that does not contain any hats. It contains yarn stuff. And I put my stickers on that. So that's what I'm planning to do with those stickers. And a nice tin for your stitch markers with a octopus on it. So that's good. I actually got one of these last time too. So this will be a good second one to have. And then I got, let's see, where am I at? Oh yeah. And then these two things are tin dividers. So you can put them in the tin and divide it so it's easier to see if you want to like divide where your stitch markers are and stuff. So that's cool. That can go in the octopus tin. I also got really cute stitch markers. I'm going to take them out of the bag. Sorry for the crinkly. One of the nice things with their stitch markers too is that they're snag free. So that's a really nice bonus. You don't have to worry about them always snagging on your project. And if those didn't show up, I'll take a picture of them. Okay. And then I also got some row counters. So it looks like it's the odds and evens one, and they have like a little turtle and a little sea turtle, not sea turtle, seahorse. There we go on them. And the last thing I got, which is like one of the main reasons, is this beautiful yarn. It's so beautiful. It says July feeling fingering weight 100% super merino 3-ply 490 yards, and it's just beautiful. I love the colors and I love the squish and it feels so nice. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with it. I'm almost thinking I want to do the same tank top that I'm making right now with the purple yarn in this yarn, because I think it would look super cute as a fun summer top. Okay, so that was from Twice Sheer Cheap. I'm super glad I finally got to show you guys that, so now I can work with it. And I kind of showed you one of the acquisitions already because it's in my project already, but I did buy the yarn to go with my cardigan, and I do have 2 more skeins of it here, and it's really lightweight actually. And that was one of the things that Bramble Ridge and I were talking about, because she said like it's just such a light yarn, you don't even like, it's not like a weighted down cardigan, so it's really lovely that way. So 2 more of the dusk colors to go. And then while I was chatting with her, I don't know if any of you guys follow her on Instagram, but I do. And she was asking if anybody would be interested in having some of her own spun yarn, because she spins, but she has so much of it that she doesn't have enough time to actually work what she spins. So I'm like, oh, I would love some. So she did also give me one of her own spun yarns. I got to choose the color, and this is like an orange. Orange is my favorite color. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that, but it has like orange in it and blues in it and dark blues and light blues, and it's just gorgeous. So I'm super excited to work with this too. Ah, lovely things. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it though. That's all my acquisitions. I had a lot of acquisitions this time around, and I didn't even expect to get acquisitions, except for I guess my bag. I did expect that, but yeah. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode and to see what I'm working on, and hopefully I'll have more to show you for completed objects next time. And I'll see you later.